to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Matt.
Physically, I am in a Chili's. Mentally, I am in an Outback Steakhouse. I will not be taking further questions.
I have plenty, though.
I will not be taking them.
Okay, well, welcome then. I guess we just gotta move on from that. Welcome. welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. It's been a week. Last time we talked to you, the Steelers-Titans games might be getting canceled, and then all hell broke loose. And even more hell broke loose even before we started recording today. So, man, it's a time.
It's a time.
It is a time to be alive. So there's so much to cover, and obviously we do want to get to a football recap of week 5. Of week 4. But first things first, we have breaking news. is that like a tune of the VBB music?
No.
I don't know what that was. I don't know if the reference...
It doesn't have to be a reference.
Okay, well then anyways, moving forward. I love it though. Well, the first on the breaking news wire of Virtual Ball Boys here, Bill O'Brien out as head coach of the Houston Texans. This was following basically just a boiling point that the players were reaching their limit with Bill O'Brien, as we found out today, or at least the day that we were recording this, that the Texans started planning a revolt against Bill O'Brien, led by Texans defensive end J.J. Watt. Apparently, according to the Houston Chronicle, Bill O'Brien got into a heated exchange with the Texans star during a recent practice. And this article has been written by ESPN. The incident, which also included defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, took place in the week leading up to the winless Texans' Week 3 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sources confirmed to ESPN that a verbal blow-up at practice occurred 2 weeks ago, with one source telling ESPN's Diana Ruzzini that the incident was when O'Brien, quote, lost the team. And, of course, we know that the Texans have not won a game yet this year. Started out with one of the worst schedules you can imagine, with the Chiefs, Ravens, and Steelers in back-to-back weeks, but then had their chance against a winless Vikings team to bounce back and failed to do so, losing that game, and that was the tipping point ultimately to Bill O'Brien being fired. He is out, and Romeo Cornell, a longtime coach, had been the head coach with the Chiefs and the Browns at various points in his career, now becomes the oldest head coach ever in NFL history. And he, and I believe it's, Jack Easterby, whatever the hell his name is. He's like the EVP of the Texans, and he's taking over the general manager role, but they will be hiring a new head coach and a new general manager. My guess is in January. What's your thoughts on this?
You know, you have a team that wins the division last year, and what do? You trade away one of your best players, and then with all of the responsibilities being on the head coach, including GM responsibilities, with a head coach who barely wins playoff games, and then this happens, and you just wonder why. You wonder why all of this happened, and at least they have Deshaun Watson to build the team around, because there's not much on this team other than Watson.
Yeah, I don't know, like, outside of Watson, like you said, I don't really know what the appealing element of going to this franchise is, because think of what they did. This dude, Bill O'Brien, was named general manager back in January, which feels like a lifetime ago for various reasons. But he was given this role to take charge of this entire organization. And he screwed it up by getting rid of its best players, and in turn trying to, I don't even know what the attempt was in terms of trying to get, I guess, but what we know about the DeAndre Hopkins talks was that him and Bill O'Brien weren't necessarily getting along, and Bill O'Brien didn't really want to pay Hopkins the money that he deserved. and so that's why the trade happened the way it did. But I guess I just don't understand why there's this stubbornness with Bill O'Brien, and we've talked about it ad nauseum already. I guess it's just weird to me with the Texans that they had this commitment to the guy. I know that he fucked up. We all know he fucked up.
Yeah.
But 4 games into the season, after naming him the general manager in January, is kind of insane.
I really think it's because of that the player dissatisfaction with him being the biggest influence for that.
Right.
Because,
it has to be.
It has to be, because you have, especially if J.J. Watt was the leader of it. J.J. Watt hasn't been the best player, but he's still one of the biggest names in the league right now.
He's a leader in that locker room.
Leader in the locker room too. So if you lose his respect, you lose the entire team's respect. And I think it was a good firing. I just don't know why it didn't happen sooner, when you could have added someone who could have really taken your team to the next level and get them to a Super Bowl, which you had no chance of doing last year.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to January.
I shouldn't say that. They put up 30 points on the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs happened.
Well, bringing it to that, but back in January when they had that game, I mean, after they blew that game, there was a lot of fans that were saying, get rid of this guy. He is not going to be the future. And instead, they stood by him and gave him
GM duties.
Gave him the general manager. Like, he's had personnel power since 2019. Like that's how the whole the Jadeveon Clowney trade went down. That's how they got Laramie Tunsil and Stills. Like, that, he's had the control over this roster for more than when he has been named a general manager. But it's still the fact that this title was assigned to him after everything that has happened with this organization last year, which was not necessarily a bad thing. They had a decent year. But then to give him that power, and then to see what he did with that power, with the Hopkins trade, with having David Johnson, who has not worked out for this team to this point. Nope. Man, it was a bad time. And I am, like, this is the first time in a while since we see the coach be fired after 0-4. I believe, was it Joe Philbin, I think, was the last one? I think.
That sounds right.
Which was the Dolphins a while back. Yeah, it's surreal. It's surreal, because especially for a guy that had been with the organization for 7 years. I've only been following football with Bill O'Brien being the head coach of the Texans. So I'm curious in what direction they go. They have a lot of options. I think it would be great to see them hire like a Bieniemy, for this role to kind of pair it up with Watson. Like, that could be a lot of fun, but we'll see. I don't know.
Watson is going to be the draw, and I hope that something good happens for him so he doesn't have a wasted career.
Yeah. The thing is that the general manager, whoever they hire, they are going to need to get draft picks back somehow.
Yeah. That's another thing.
Yeah.
They don't have a first or second round draft pick this year. What GM wants to come into that?
Right. What I could see happening though is that they start trading some big name players.
Yeah. And trade away Watt. Trade away no one else, because no one else has a big fucking name.
Yeah. No.
And they're not going to trade Watson.
That I honestly thought about that. I was like, what if they just go full on nuclear on this team and just blow up everything and get rid of Watson and get rid of Watt? I don't know.
There's a chance. Chicago, please. Chicago has entered the chat.
Chicago, please get Watson. I think that's probably not. I think Watson's most likely the safest player on the team, but who knows? Again, this is a very strange situation. Anyways, we have more breaking news. The Tennessee Titans.
I haven't played trombone in like a month.
Okay. Well, it sounds good. It sounds good.
No,
I think
it doesn't.
Well, if you put me behind it, you'll know what bad sounds like. So it's
my lips are already tingly.
Okay. I hope you're all right. So the Titans the Titans have been caught red-handed. They have apparently, after their practices were shut down due to COVID, players held a workout at a Nashville school when the team facility was closed. So there's a whole workout that happened with a bunch of players gathering, and on top of that, a few more players were diagnosed with COVID as of Wednesday. On top of Stephen Gilmore has been now has COVID, was tested positive for COVID for the Patriots, and a player for the Las Vegas Raiders has tested positive for COVID. So there's this recklessness from the Titans, and there's the Patriots and Raiders, and also other organizations that have been touched by it, at least the Chiefs, or at least one team that has come to mind. With another, this is now going to be a week-to-week issue throughout the NFL.
Yeah, I wish that the Titans thing was the only thing. Maybe the Patriots thing could have been handled better. We're not going to be out of the woods is the problem,
mm-hmm.
and it's gonna affect a team probably in every division at some point, unless they are so disciplined and get themselves in a bubble. Whichever teams with the MLB. Those games could have been made up, or they have so many games that it doesn't matter. NFL has so few games that having to rearrange or postpone or any of that really fucks with everything and the schedule. There was a Pro Football Talk article out today with the Twitter description. Obviously, this is a statement to get clicks, but I legitimately think it's true. Some believe a potentially, quote, historic punishment could be coming for the Titans for fucking up the COVID restrictions.
I wouldn't blame them.
No, and if that, like, this may be the season where we have teams that are forced to forfeit games if their players catch COVID.
Right, and it is surreal and it is reckless, but I also don't want to. I want to shift blame away from the NFL because there is a part of me that feels like if Stephon Gilmore, who had close contact with Cam Newton, got COVID, which he has now, which has confirmed, he was tested positive.
Yep.
Why did he play? Why did anyone that was in close contact with Cam Newton play
in that game?
Play in that Monday night game. Why was that game even needed to be played? I understand how much of a bitch it is to change the schedule around, but guess what? This is what you have to do in a COVID world where you are going to have to make changes and you can't just rush things. And yes, the fact that the Titans and Steelers thing was so easy to reschedule, like, that's great. That's wonderful.
That's not going to be the case for everyone else.
Right, and you're going to have to deal with it. This is one of the most powerful sports leagues in the world. I don't really have much sympathy for you that you can't figure out how to make it all work. Yeah. And it's frustrating to me.
It is. I've been seeing other things too where they've people have showed pictures today of Gilmore and Mahomes right next to each other, and people are freaking out because, oh my God, we got to get Mahomes in a bubble. Mahomes is so precious. And yes, you need to worry about him, but you also need to worry about all of the other players who are going to get it.
Right.
Not just Mahomes. Just, that was something that bugged me earlier.
Yeah.
Earlier today.
Like, we've stated this before. We are not even close to being out of the woods with this whole disease, and it is insane to me that in a moment of where things are starting to get worse, like, we are seeing numbers go up throughout the fucking country, and the fact that we're still acting so reckless about it, that we're still being so stupid in decision making, I feel like every human being that tries to be a fucking dick about this disease deserves to be punished in some capacity. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely stunning to me that people continue to act like everything is fucking kumbaya, everything is fine, live our lives. Fucking Florida today announced that the Miami Dolphins could have all 65,000 fans in the fucking stadium whenever they want. And that's, to me, is fucking insane.
That's
is insane.
So irresponsible. It is insane. It is refusing to look at the truth of what's out there.
Mm-hmm. There
aren't even 65,000 Miami Dolphins fans. So like,
God damn it. but yes, no, you're right. There's not even that many fans. No.
No.
It is just like, I think that this was I think what makes it hard to watch all this, and trust me, I've enjoyed the last 3 weeks of football for sure. The first 3 weeks of football, and the fourth one was all right, but I felt like the COVID thing was kind of hanging over the head, and now it's really going to be hanging over the head of this league, and it's hard to watch all of it because I think I personally, deep down, having been affected by this disease, really like close to my family, like it is hard to watch everyone live their lives and do their thing and act irresponsibly during this whole and not acknowledge the fact that we're not even close to being out of the woods, and we need to maybe start to think about that. If we don't know what's going to happen over the next few days, if the NFL announces that we're going to shut down the season for a little bit, I am all for that.
Yeah, me too.
You know, like I don't
let the air clear.
Yeah.
Figure your shit out, reschedule things. People will understand. Well, that
no, they won't.
Sane people will understand.
Yeah. I was gonna be like, yeah, no. There's gonna be a lot of angry people.
Yeah,
and you know
they're the angry. No, Chris, because they weren't watching anyway. Remember, because everyone was kneeling.
That's right. That's right. The NFL is just another liberal puppet, you know. Like, yep. So it's not really a loss for them, right? Right, guys.
Right. You weren't watching anyway, so let us be safe. Yeah, I guess I have some people who are a little close to me family wise who don't see this thing as serious as it is, and they think that the numbers are inflated. It's not as serious of a disease. It's not a liberal hoax per se, but just that it's no worse than the flu, and we shouldn't. It's all the narratives that were like week one of it being in the United States.
Yeah.
That people haven't moved on from yet.
Right.
And it's maddening.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where more people have died from COVID than people have died from the flu over the last 5 years combined. Yeah. So people at this point, you're just willfully ignorant.
Yep. That's the perfect word for it. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. We got some more breaking news.
I lied. It is a reference to something. It's the Family Feud sound effect played poorly.
Oh. The Washington football team has announced that it is benching Dwayne Haskins for Kyle Allen at quarterback. This is from John Keim from ESPN. Sorry, I'm just pulling a lot from ESPN. Washington football team coach Ron Rivera announced that he's going to be inserting Kyle Allen as the starting quarterback for Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Rams. The quote from Rivera here: "We're in a situation where if we're still trying to teach one guy and the other 52 aren't given an opportunity to see if we can win, then that's not fair. If someone in the division was 4-0 or 3-1, okay, but there's a chance to win the division. You have to look at it that way." What is your thoughts on Dwayne Haskins being benched?
So there are a few schools of thought on this. One is that this is not the quarterback that Ron Rivera drafted, obviously. They drafted him in the first round last year, though, so he still is like first round talent of a quarterback. Has not been playing well, like at all, but also outside of Terry McLaurin doesn't have the pieces in order to play well.
Right.
And in general, Rivera knows what Kyle Allen is about. Kyle Allen did okay for a little bit in Carolina, but not for that long.
Mm.
And it's a situation where, like, I guess that's my attitude towards it. I guess. There is the other side though of and I saw a lot of this discourse on Twitter today about black quarterbacks getting so much shorter of a leash than white quarterbacks do.
Definitely.
Because look at Daniel Jones. I don't see much of a difference between the Giants state right now and Washington state right now. I mean, Washington has a surprise win. Giants don't have any.
Right.
Both teams have a bunch of injuries. Both teams are really, really bad. And I don't know how to, I don't know what the reasoning is why Daniel Jones isn't as criticized as much as Haskins is.
Well,
or similarly to how long Mitch has been in Chicago, or so many other things. And I know the situations are all different, but I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that for the most part. I think that there is a certain standard that is in place, that there is like a racial bias that may not be intentional, but maybe just what's the word for it? Implicit bias? Is that the right word for it? Like that, just like it's just like there's just something ingrained that like is not necessarily like you're intentionally benching him because he's black, but just that it's it could be that they just have a shorter leash.
You're right. It is implicit bias where it's not something that we totally know about, but it's internalized, and
right.
As white people, we need to work on it.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
Yep.
But what I will say, though, about Haskins is that, yes, I do not think that, like, Jones has played better. I don't think that, like, guys like Trubisky, Trubisky had, like, the first few games that were decent, but nothing, like, amazing. But I look at with Haskins, there were stories that came out of last year where, like, there were stories about him not necessarily reading the playbook, and not really like studying the way that he should, at like other quarterbacks should. And that, I think that also is this might be a little bit of a factor, but yeah, that was also during a moment of, I think, transition generally with the organization. Cause I forget if he started while Jay Gruden was still the coach.
I don't think he did.
So there might have been like a part of him that felt like he didn't have to study it.
Like, hey, this year's a wash anyway.
Right, but like that's not necessarily like the best look either.
No.
So I think that there's that element of things that might be hanging over him. With that said, though, I do think it is a little bit of an unfair benching. I understand that, yes, you wanted to attempt to win the division, but I feel like, and not that Washington's necessarily this smart organization, but I think that Washington should kind of know where their place is right now in the league, where it's, yes, you are a half a game out from the league.
If you look at the records, yes, you can win the division. If you look at the composition of the teams in your division and the leagues as a whole, no fucking way.
Like, you're not, like, yeah, okay, you win the division, great, but you're not going to do much beyond win the division. Like, none of the NFC East teams at this point look like they're going to. So, I think that there is also the element of, why not just give Haskins a chance? He didn't play that badly last week. I mean, at least if you look at the numbers, he didn't look that bad last week.
No, and it was Baltimore.
Right.
If you look okay against Baltimore, that's a good thing.
Yeah. and so it's a weird decision. I'm not like, whatever. If you feel like Kyle Allen is a better quarterback right now than Dwayne Haskins,
Kyle Allen is like maybe like has a percentage better stats than Haskins right now. You also know exactly what kind of quarterback Kyle Allen is, and he's one that isn't that good of a quarterback, minus a insane upset win over the Saints 2 years ago when the Saints had already clinched everything.
Right.
Or he skillfully avoided a tackle from J.J. Watt last year. Those are his two claims to fame that you've had an entire season of otherwise.
Yeah.
He's not. Yeah. So whereas Haskins, was on one of the worst teams in football last year, and is still on one of the worst teams in football, and needs to have a chance and needs more stuff from your organization in order to support him, and not just say, "Oh, well, look at what Burrow's doing, and we want that to happen. So bye."
It really is like, I think that just there has to be a point in which you have to start evaluating quarterbacks and let the evaluation happen. You know, like you been through 4 weeks of Haskins. You've also had the last year, but the thing is, the regime has changed so much. Why not stick with Haskins for longer than 4 weeks? I understand that you want the wins, like you got the the dollar signs on the eyes. It's like W's. Like, I get it, you know. Like I understand that's, you know, that's what you're aiming for, but I think developing a quarterback, a big part of that is letting them play and letting them make mistakes and letting them grow.
Yep.
If you're in like week 14 and 15 and he is just shitting the bed every single week and he is just not doing good and he's like, there is just no chance right now of making things any better, but you're still like a game or two out from the division title, then yeah, okay, put Kyle Allen in. Yeah. But it's so early in the season. I just think it's very quick. It's a very quick pull.
When you're making these decisions in the first quarter of the season, I don't know. Yeah. And I say that as a team who has made a significant quarterback decision in the first quarter of the season. We'll talk about that later.
And one last little bit of a breaking news.
Oh shit! I put my trombone away. I forgot there was a fourth thing.
All right, do you want to just do it with your? Would you? Monday Night Football game could be moved from New Orleans to Indianapolis. This is a wild story. Monday night's game between New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Chargers could be located to the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis if needed because of the path of Hurricane Delta. Sources told, once again, ESPN. The Saints could also move their practice operations to Indianapolis if needed, as they did for a week in 2008 with Hurricane Gustav hit Louisiana. The Saints have long considered Indianapolis as a contingency option because of the ample hotel space and convenient location of the downtown stadium. Delta is bearing down on the state of Louisiana, is expected to make landfall as a hurricane on Friday night. LSU already has moved its scheduled Saturday home game against Missouri to Columbia, Missouri as a result. So, and on top of that, the Colts are on the road this week. So
that helps.
That won't be a factor. Any thoughts on this?
Nothing too major. I don't think it's going to affect the overall result of the game, especially if they're prepared this far in advance.
Sure.
Hope that everyone there stays safe because we have had so many hurricanes in the Gulf because of global warming and everything is shit. And just stay safe if you're down there and listening. Yeah.
Louisiana, be safe out there. It's crazy freaking times. And that is what's happening with breaking news. Now, let's go do let's speed through a recap of week number 4. I want to keep on saying 5, but I know that's what we're looking forward to right now. Let's start with the game of the week. This was a hard one because there wasn't really like that outstanding of a game this week. Overall, nothing that really stood out to me. So in terms of close games, I picked the game between the young gun and the veteran, and that was Chargers at Buccaneers.
That was what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, 38-31. Started out strong for the Los Angeles Chargers. Herbert started really throwing nice and early, and they also got a pick 6 on Tom Brady. I believe at one point it was like 31-14 or something along those lines. But then Brady came roaring back, and it was the one of the Buccaneers like biggest comebacks in its history. And Tom Brady threw for 5 freaking touchdowns. My goodness gracious, he's back.
Yeah.
And that was without, I believe Chris Godwin was not.
Chris Godwin's not playing.
Was not playing, so that, and Mike Evans was limping, basically, throughout the game. So a 38-31 monster win for the Buccaneers. Any thoughts on this?
Not really. I was actually surprised to see the Chargers doing so well. But again, Buccaneers are a really good team this year. I am a little upset that I doubted them so much. Well, I'm
understand.
I'm interested to see how they do going forward. But good work so far.
I think they're gonna have the Bears this week, and then the next Sunday they are taking on the currently undefeated Packers.
Oh boy.
And
boy.
Might be the test. That might be the test for a Buccaneers team that is, in my opinion, more defensive centric. I
agree with that.
I understand that Brady is the guy, and he did just throw for 5 touchdowns, but the defense has really been the shining unit because the offense generally has been a little bit more consistent. But yeah, and the Chargers, I think that people probably, Chargers fans don't want to get this win, but hey, you got a franchise quarterback that's playing very well.
Yeah, Herbert is going to be great going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. The blowout of the week. There wasn't even that big of a blowout this week. It was really a weird week. But we went with the 16-point win by the Kansas City Chiefs over the Patriots. Of course, the Patriots were without Cam Newton, as we discussed. He tested positive for COVID, and they moved this game to Monday afternoon, to / evening. And they started Brian Hoyer, and Hoyer was a mess. And then they had Stidham play the rest of the game. And really, the game was close in the beginning, low scoring. The Patriots defense had their way a little bit with the Chiefs, but it wasn't enough. You can't suppress Patrick Mahomes. And they moved on with the win.
They managed to suppress him enough for fantasy purposes, which I was very happy for. But
because you were facing Mahomes.
Because I was facing Mahomes, but I had an insane going into Monday night situation in 2 leagues where I needed Mahomes to score less than 24 points, but then also Tyreek Hill to score, along with James White, to score a certain amount of points, and they both happened for me, and I'm very thankful.
You texted me that it was, have you ever seen Clutch? I believe was the text.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is all good for the Chiefs. They got the win. I don't think you can really read too much into the situation for the Patriots, other than the fact that Bill Belichick is a very good coach, and that he had this team prepared to at least withstand like a half against the Chiefs before things fell apart.
Do you think the Patriots may have stood a chance to win with Cam?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think ultimately it was their quarterback that blew it for them.
Yeah. There were so many interceptions and at least 1 pick six. So
yeah. So and then your team chaos of the week. A few options to pick from. I decided to go with the formerly winless Philadelphia Eagles, who went to San Francisco and took care of Nick Mullins, who was a monster. In the worst, had a monstrously terrible game.
We went from Nick Mullins is a monster to that's a monster performance. That's not good.
That is not. That's
ugly.
That is an ugly. Yeah, it went from being a monster to looking like a monster, and that's It's not great. That is a 25-20 victory for the Eagles. Pass rush played a big role in it. The Eagles pass rush looked like it was back. Brandon Graham had absolutely destroyed Mike McGlinchey at the line multiple times. Do you want to describe the Brandon Ayuk play?
So Brandon fucking Ayuk, first round draft pick, running down the sideline, gets some insane blocks from his teammates, and then runs down the sideline, anticipates an Eagles player that's going to try to tackle him, and leaps over him into the end zone. I sent the play as soon as it went out on Twitter to my non-football friends, and they were amazed at it too.
Yeah. I didn't see it in real time, but upon watching the clip, I was like, oh, damn. But that was really the only highlight for the 49ers because Nick Mullins was terrible. But luckily, Garoppolo, at least today, was practicing on a limited basis and should be back for the Dolphins next week. The 49ers now 2-2. The Eagles 1-2-1. And I'm not here ready to declare the Eagles back, but it's good performance, decent enough. Where maybe there's hope for them, and they are now they went from being I believe it was third in the division to first real freaking quick because the Cowboys and Washington football team both lost as well.
Stupid.
What any other thoughts on week 4? Any games that you want to point out?
The Bears, I got to talk about them.
Okay.
Not for very long.
Okay, yeah.
So Chicago sports fans, and I'm sure this is true for most fan bases, but Chicago sports fans are in a mood of instant gratification and a bunch of should-haves. We should have gotten Mahomes. Why didn't we do that? And the fact that Foles didn't do immediately well, there's a pocket of people going, hey, why don't we go back to Trubisky? It's one fucking game. We'll move on from it.
Against one of the best defenses in the league.
Against probably the best defense in the league, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So with you can't judge Nick Foles on his first start for a new team with no preseason and no regular training camp. He will rebound a little bit. I'm not expecting Super Bowl MVP Foles, but he'll get there. Yeah. Just give it time. We started 3-1. Remember that. We're still 3-1. We have a really easy schedule. Like a really easy schedule. So
I get
it. Yeah. So there's a legitimate chance that the Bears will make the playoffs, and I think it's actually likely that the Bears make the playoffs. So
yeah,
just let it develop. Sunday sucked. We'll move on.
Yeah, I think that if anything, you have to wait until December for Nick Foles to be fully charged. Right now, he's kind of at 30%. He's at 30%. Yeah. He'll be at like 60% in November, and then he'll be like at 90, close to 100 once the December weeks start going. And then Nick Foles,
can't wait.
Nick Foles will be fully, blowing up every single team that's in their way. So we just have to get to that point, ultimately. I don't have much else to say about many of the other games, with the exception of the Cleveland Browns. And
my God,
Dallas Cowboys. Was it 600 yards? Was it
something nuts?
It was something nuts that Dak Prescott threw for, and they still lost because of Odell Beckham Jr.'s back.
It was 500 for Prescott.
Oh, okay. Which
is still nuts.
It's still nuts. 500 is an insane number. But Odell Beckham Jr. awoken, and Baker Mayfield didn't have like an amazing game, but that with Kareem Hunt playing well and like this other, I think, rookie running back that I don't even know, I can't even think of his name.
Johnson.
Oh, there you go. I can appreciate. I know I can lean on you for fantasy
fantasy relevant players, which he is now.
Yes, basically. So yeah, that combination worked. Defense obviously could play better for the Browns, but my God, like this. I don't even know what, like, is it the Browns are good, or is it the Dallas Cowboys are just reaching a point where their defense is holding them back like a fucking anchor in the deep depths of the ocean?
I think it's a definite combination of both.
Yeah. It is just absolutely surreal. The Brownies are currently slotted as the 7th seed in the AFC. Here we go, boys. And we were talking about this last week, but they were there. This is, or I don't know if we even did, but this was the first time that they had a winning record since like 2000,
right?
8,
7.
whatever, 2012,
2007, 2008. It is good for them, and they're at 3-1 too. This isn't just a winning record. It is they are a good team. They are an upper half team.
Right. They're getting there. We'll see. They got the big test against the Colts this week.
Yep.
We'll see how that lasts. All right. So real quick announcement, and we'll go dive a little bit into it here before we get to our picks. The VBBFL is back this weekend. This Saturday, most likely around 4:00, but we'll give you a more exact time on Twitter. We're going to be back playing another week of matchups. We had a lot of fun with the first week, so we hope that you'll tune in for week number 2. As the standings sit right now, if I can pull up my notepad here. As the standings sit right now, in the Eastern Division, Mansfield, Perth Amboy, and East Chicago are all tied for first place with a 1-0 record. Phoenix City is 0-1 in the Western Division. Brainerd sits alone on top, 1-0. Everyone else sitting at 0-1. We now have a nice battle this week. If I could pull up the schedule now, between between two 1-0 teams in the Mansfield Weavers and the Brainerd Paladins for week 2. What do you think about this matchup?
So this is going to be another interesting thing for Mansfield. Mansfield was able to exploit the terrible Phoenix City defense last week. So now that they're facing a defense that isn't so exploitable, I want to see if their offense can still score as many points as they did.
Right, and they also have the help of having one of the best, I believe, the best defense in the league.
Yes, the only positive defensive stat.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I think that's our marquee matchup for this week. Might be the last one that we do. I haven't formulated like the order schedule yet, but we'll see. We also have East Chicago at Perth Amboy, so this is another 1-0 matchup. So we got two teams that are looking at 2-0 this week. What are your thoughts here? So East Chicago and Perth Amboy? East Chicago's more of the balanced team, and Perth Amboy is the ball handling stronghold.
Yeah, so both of the balanced teams with Brainerd and East Chicago were able to win their first teams, but now that ball handling a strong ball handling set will come into play. I'm curious to see if that will affect anything this time around.
And then we have the Anaconda Mountaineers, Weatherford Sheriffs. That's a battle between fiancés right there, Anthony and Kelsey, who drafted for those teams. Anaconda really was hurt by not having that good of a defense, but nor does Weatherford. Weatherford has not as bad, but as a -6 defense. So this is going to be a offensively heavy battle, a potential shootout in the works here. I'm very curious to see what happens there, and of course it is our second matchup in Kangaroo Stadium. So what can go wrong? Truly. And last but not least, the Escondido Artisans at Phoenix City. Phoenixes, hit me with your preview.
So another bout of two very offensive teams. Phoenix City may have more luck in this one because Escondido does have a minus defense stat. Isn't quite is still pretty good at offense. So that actually might be really bad for their defensive prowess.
Right.
But they match up pretty well with ball handling. Have a better matchup ball handling wise than they did against Mansfield. So I think Phoenix City has a better chance winning this week than last week. I am still surprised. Granted, there were a couple Nat 1s and Nat 20s that influenced that game, but you still gotta. So it happens. Gotta give it to them.
Yeah. My matchup of the week is Mansfield and Brainerd, and
Absolutely.
I'm specifically looking at how Atreus will go up against Kratos, his own father.
Yeah.
In this matchup, I'm sure that there's other ones in there, but that was just on the surface level. The one of the key matchups of week 2 against the VBBFL. are in the VBBFL. So look forward to that. Again, Saturday, most likely around 4:00 p.m. Eastern time, but we will let you know if there's any change at the time or even the day. Most likely not the day, but we'll see what happens. And with that, we move on to the picks for this week. I believe it is my turn to kick things off.
Yes, last week, though.
Oh, yes, let's talk last week because we had a lot of changes that happened in between.
Yes.
I always forget to do these recaps here. Go ahead, hit us with it.
So last week, we had to change. Chris had to change his guarantee. Changed it to Indianapolis. Worked out well for him. And I had to change my team chaos because the New England game did not have Cam Newton in it. So I switched that to Detroit. Did not work out well for me. In fact, not much worked out well for me because I went 8-7, still managed to be above 500, have not gone under 500 this year, but would like to not have that happen again.
I went 10-5. I also, this is the first time that a guarantee and plus team chaos worked out for this season. So I got an extra point as well. So I got 6 points after that.
And I got my guarantee wrong. And then they fired their head coach. So I got bupkis across the board. Yeah, so I'm at 21 points total.
Yeah, you lost an extra point because of not having the guarantee and not having the team chaos. So yes, you got 0 points this week, so you stay at 21 points. I moved up to 20 points. You're at 42-20 is your record. I'm at 41-21. It is
so
we're right up against each other.
I'm just ahead of you, but we're essentially tied.
Yeah. Well, so, and then the other thing is the other element of this that fuck, I'm forgetting what I was gonna say now. When we released the picks on Twitter, I accidentally switched which one of us picked the Jaguars and which one of us picked the Bengals, because I went into Sunday being like, fuck yeah, I know the Bengals are gonna win this game. I'm confident the Bengals are gonna win this game, and then I realized that back on Wednesday I actually picked the Jaguars and Matt picked the Bengals. And so I initially both of our thinking was like, oh shit, so Matt went 0-4 this week, but that was not the case. He went 1-3. He did get that pick right, so it kind of helped soften the blow of not doing that well with picks.
And I was also sad when I saw that tweet because I was like, wow, did I really pick the Jaguars?
No, you didn't. I made the very, because I don't know what it was. I just shifted my viewpoint, but there was nothing that changed during the week. I think I literally just woke up and I was just like, you know what? The Bengals are gonna win today. I know it.
I'm feeling like the Bengals today. They're my cat of choice.
Yes. So that's just kind of, that's how it ended up being, and I ended up screwing that tweet up. But no, he got it right, and so ultimately you got a winning record though this week.
I did.
I know you got. I know it was just a little bit, like you just barely got it, but you got it. So that's what matters at the end of the day. So yeah, close competition going into week 5. We've been going back and forth, and the odd weeks are in Matt's favor usually. So we will see if that trend continues. But we start things off with the first Thursday Night Football game that is going to be airing on Fox. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be traveling to Chicago to take on the Bears. Of course, as we discussed, Nick Foles did not have the greatest outing against the Indianapolis Colts. But now they will be taking on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this tough defense. But maybe the Bears have a bounce-back game. That was their first loss of the season, after all. What do you think is going to happen?
So you go back and forth because the Colts have a good defense and the Bucs also have a good defense, but not as good, and the Bears still manage to do a little bit, and Nick Foles will get better. But then you look at the Buccaneers, and they have a much better offense than the Colts do, and you're just like, what the hell do I do? And then you look, oh, the Bucs have an injured offense because two of their top 4 wide receivers are going to be out. Their tight end just went out with an Achilles. Not Gronk, OJ Howard, and then the other 2 that will play aren't going to be that high. Leonard Fournette's not going to be in. LaShawn McCoy is out, but they still have so many running backs, which I clowned on the running backs at first, and now it seems like a good idea that they had that many running backs. And I'm rambling because I just don't want to pick against the Bears, but I have to.
Okay, wow. You okay there,
because that is all that's been going in my head thinking about this game.
You want a drink of water, please?
No,
I'm
out of water.
Oh, that's the issue. No, I completely understand that, and I think that this was tough because this was, like, I think, a consideration for me when I was thinking Team Chaos scenarios. But I can't say that after the way the Bucks played last week, if they could be consistent. I mean, they have this game in hand, but I could see this game being close. I think the Bucks have it.
Yeah, me too.
So that's where I'm at.
Next up, Carolina Panthers, sans Christian McCaffrey, come off their second straight win. Take on the Atlanta Falcons, who have hit rock bottom. They're 0-4. Though Monday night's game wasn't a heartbreaking comeback. How do you think this game's going to go?
It's surreal to watch the Falcons because they had for a few weeks had this offense kind of carrying this god-awful defense, and then they go up against a team, granted the Packers having a good defense this year, and just blew it. Like, they just really hit the bet. Like, they were not good offensively in the last game. Not saying that the Panthers defense is world beaters, but they have won 2 games in a row now. They've gotten a little bit of a rhythm going, and I just like what this team is kind of doing right now, where I could see them continuing to be sneaky good this year. With Teddy Bridgewater is playing well. The offense as a whole, and again, like you said, without Christian McCaffrey, like that's also a huge factor. I like the Panthers in this matchup. The defense, I think, is probably the one thing that could blow it for them, but I like what the Panthers are doing, so picking them.
Yeah, me too. I'm picking the Panthers as well. I think that their offense is gonna do really well against the Falcons defense, and then their underestimated defense is gonna do enough, can do enough to maybe stop the Falcons. So. Especially if the Falcons play like they did against the Packers, because, not pretty.
not at all. All right, the Buffalo Bills are expected, at this point we don't know, because everything's a little up in the air, but they are expected to go to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Of course, everything that's happening around the Titans right now, very hectic, who knows what this team's going to look like after being off. If they do end up playing this week, it would be kind of a miracle considering the situations. But turn over to the Buffalo Bills, who won yet another game, looking strong, rolling through teams. This might be one of their tougher matchups to date if they get to play it this week.
I think that the Bills are honestly maybe morphing into my Dark Horse Super Bowl pick, and Dark Horse feels too low of a ranking for them.
Yeah, they're one of the best.
They're one of the best teams in the league. They're playing out of their minds. It used to be their defense would have to play really well to make sure that any Josh Allen mistakes didn't hold them back, and Josh Allen really isn't making mistakes. So,
great.
Bills are great. I'm going with the Bills. Even if I'm almost as certain, like, it's a 50-50 chance that the Bills win or the Titans are forced to forfeit.
Yeah, and if that happens, then I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end up working, because I have the Bills, and right now they are my guarantee.
Good choice.
But I would feel bad if, like, this ends up being a forfeit situation. I don't know if I want to count that as my guarantee.
I would not count that.
So that's what I mean. So I do have a backup, and we'll talk about that later when we get to that matchup. But so if the Bills and Italians play, if everything still goes well, I'm guaranteeing the Bills. I think that they're playing out of their mind. I think the Titans are going to be shaken up in this game. I think that the Bills are going to be in fine shape. and so I'm gonna take them. And their defense is still not playing great, but they're still, they have been making some plays here and there.
Yeah.
Josh Norman had a big play where he punched the ball out of Darren Waller's hands. So there's hope. There's hope for this Bills team to keep on rolling.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals, coming off of Joe Burrow's first career win, take on the Baltimore Ravens, who had a nice bounce-back game against the Washington football team. How's this gonna play out?
I mean, they had the bounce back game, and I think that they're going to be on a roll now. I'm picking the Ravens, and I like when the Bengals and Ravens face against each other. Usually, it's a fun little fun matchup, feisty matchup. But I still don't really have a ton of faith in this Bengals defense, and I think that that's going to be a problem against Lamar Jackson and their offense.
Yeah, Ravens are going to probably win this game handily. The only game that the Ravens have lost so far is against the Chiefs, so they're in good shape.
Yep. The Kansas City Chiefs, speaking of which, will be taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, we don't know if this matchup's going to go because there had been some positive tests inside the Raiders organization. With that said, if this does go off, the Raiders, of course, are coming off of a loss against the Bills. The Chiefs coming off of a nice victory over the Patriots on a short week. We will see. This is one of the best division rivalries in the NFL. Who's going to win it this time?
The Raiders moved their home closer to Kansas City during the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not going to matter because Kansas City is still going to win the game.
Meaning that they can spy on them from their Las Vegas home.
Well, just that the travel time would be less.
It's not as brutal generally.
Yeah, because it's like Kansas City's like almost in the dead center of the country, and then Oakland is on the edge of the country. So it's like they basically split the difference, kind of.
Yeah. It kind of makes their lives easier. I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, me too.
That's not a factor for me.
Yep. The Los Angeles Rams, coming off of a low-scoring win against the Giants, now take on the Giants' divisional rival in the Washington football team in the D.C. metropolitan area.
DMV,
Delaware, Maryland vehicles.
Virginia?
It's Virginia. The Delaware of motor vehicles.
Oh God, what is the Delaware of motor vehicles? I'm thinking the smallest or one of the smallest.
Honda Civic.
Honda Civic. There you go. And the
Rhode Island. Those are too common.
The Rhode
to
Island.
Be Delaware.
Rhode Island is the Volkswagen Beetle.
Rhode Island's the fucking smart cars that they drive in France.
They're fucking mopeds. Yeah, I'm picking the Rams here. I like how another game with the Rams in it, we just don't do any analysis for. I'm picking the Rams. Well,
because the Rams have had such easy opponents that you should keep picking the Rams, as I am in this game.
Yeah, you keep moving it. Yeah, I get it. All right. Moving on, the Cardinals go up against the Jets. Oh, we forgot to talk about the Jets are without Sam Darnold this week after we didn't even get to talk about Thursday Night Football and what a mess that was for the Jets. But they are one of the casualties of that is Sam Darnold being out with a shoulder injury. And Joe Flacco is going to be the starting quarterback. We'll be going up against a Cardinals team that is looking to bounce back after 2 straight losses. This offense is not cooking like it was in the beginning of the season. Defensively, they're having some trouble as well. Can this Cardinals team bounce back?
If there's ever a team to bounce back against, it's this year's Jets, and last year's Jets, and probably next year's Jets. I do trust the Cardinals to get it together for this upcoming week and beat this New York team.
Yeah, I'm with you. Cardinals should be handled, and I was about to say handled handily. But yeah, no, the Cardinals gonna win.
Yep. The Battle of Pennsylvania. We have the Philadelphia Eagles coming off of their first win of the season against the Steelers, who are still undefeated. How's this going to go?
This could be interesting, maybe. I don't know. The Steelers ended up being on a very unexpected bye, so I could see where maybe things could go awry for them, but defense is too good to let Carson Wentz and this kind of mediocre to bad offense really flourish. Although we could say that about the Niners too. I don't know. I just think the Steelers are in better shape to handle this Eagles team right now, so I'm picking them.
Yeah, I'm picking them as well. I think the bye is going to really affect them later on when they're going to have so little rest compared to other teams.
Sure.
For something not their fault, but they'll be fine this week, so I'll pick the Steelers.
All right, sounds good. The Jacksonville Jaguars will be going to Houston to take on the Texans. All right, so this is the first game outside of the Bill O'Brien era for the Houston Texans in 7 years. This is, and of course, the Jaguars are coming off of a loss to the Bengals. What do you think is going to happen here?
This was somehow the hardest game for me to pick.
Yeah.
Because both teams are so bad. I've been flipping back and forth between them. You always have the philosophy of when a team fires their head coach, they get amped up and they bounce back super well.
That's how I usually feel. It doesn't always happen, but that's usually
doesn't always happen.
It's
and
a trend.
That's honestly not how I feel this time, because I don't feel this Texans team has a lot of chemistry even without Bill O'Brien. So I'm gonna have the Jaguars win this one. They're getting better from injury. Their run game is fantastic with James Robinson, and who's an Illinois State grad, by the way.
Okay.
Run game's fantastic. Their wide receivers are coming back from injury, and their defense, I think, will be stout enough to stop what the Texans are doing. And this also may be a spite pick from the Texans losing my guarantee last week.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get that. I was also toying with it, but to me, the best player in this game is Deshaun Watson, and I still have a lot of faith in who he is and what he has done. That yes, the Jaguars have their moments. I don't think that they're going to. I think that they're on a downward spiral a little bit here. And I don't have enough faith in them that they're going to. I could see them winning, for sure. But I think that the Texans finally bounce back. I do like the fact that you're hearing reports from people about how toxic it started getting with Bill O'Brien. I do think that energy there's gonna be a new energy in that building. And I do think that that's gonna be a factor. I'm going Texans, and this is my backup guarantee.
Okay.
In this matchup.
Okay.
So that's if the Bills don't play.
If the Bills do not play, this is your backup.
Yep.
Cool.
That's where I'm at.
And next up, the Miami Dolphins travel to the West Coast to face the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams coming off of a loss. One of them expected, one of them not so expected. What's this game going to look like?
I think that Jimmy Garoppolo might be back this week. I don't know about the status of the running backs, but I'm pretty sure that at least
I believe Mostert will be back.
So this is now a team that's starting to get some of its players back. Obviously won't get them all because some of them are season-ending injuries, so they've had to deal with. Dolphins are feisty. I don't think that they're going to be feisty enough to take down the Niners, though. So I think this is, if this was taking place in Miami, there might be a shot. I think in San Francisco, the 49ers are going to take care of business. So
yeah, I feel good about the 49ers here, and I'm glad because I really need to start Raheem Mostert in fantasy.
There you go. Perfect. Next up, the Colts at the Browns. Both teams coming off of nice wins. Colts took down the undefeated Bears, and the Browns just turned the Cowboys into their little brother. Just absolutely Okay, you're nice 500-yard outing, Dak. How about we still ruin your day and have
How about we have a wide
points?
receiver throw a touchdown to another wide receiver?
There you go. What's gonna happen? This is a big one. What do you think's gonna happen?
This is very close. I think that obviously the Colts defense is much better than the Cowboys defense was.
Yep.
So I don't think the Browns are going to be able to do what they did. But I also think that the Browns defense is relatively comparable to the Bears. The Bears is a little better. Not a little. I would say the Bears do have a better defense than the Browns, but the Browns still have a good defense, which I don't know if the Colts can handle up to. I've been hurt by this team before. I've been hurt doing this specifically with this team before, but I'm guaranteeing Cleveland.
Oh, man, dude.
I want the chaos injected into my body.
All right, I'm gonna disagree with you here. I'm going Colts. I think that you are overrating the Browns defense a little bit here, just because of Dak Prescott threw 500 yards on the Browns defense.
But Dak Prescott has been doing that to everyone.
No, I know. I'm not trying to take away anything from Dak. I'm just saying that the Dallas offense was very good this last week. You're right in the sense that I don't think the Colts are as good of an offense, but this Colts defense is very difficult, and I know what Baker Mayfield does under pressure, and it's not good. They've played in the last few weeks. They played the Bengals, the Washington, and Dallas, all of which maybe Chase Young was the factor, and yes, that game ended up being close with Washington up at one point, but they still got the win. I'm just saying, all of it. I cannot trust this Browns team until they win this game. Then I'll trust the Browns team.
I wanna play risky. It's probably not smart.
No, you
given
got
our
it.
current state.
I love it. No, please, I love it. I can't trust the Browns yet. But I understand the move. I'll go Colts in this one.
Next up, we have the New York Giants. New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys, how do you have your quarterback do that and not win any games? Versus the Giants, how are you still a football organization? How's this matchup going to go? That was mean.
How are you still a football organization? So, but let me just defend the Giants a little bit here. They did play well, I will say, not necessarily on offense, but on defense against this Rams offense. Like, they actually shut down the Rams offense that was flying for quite a few weeks. And I think the Cowboys, they should win this matchup. This is an easy matchup for them. Like, I absolutely think that they're going to annihilate the Giants. But if they don't, and if the Cowboys don't win against this fucking Giants team, there's going to be fire in the streets of Dallas and Arlington, and it's going to be glorious. And that's what I want to root for. So I'm Team Chaosing the Giants.
Fuck.
I think that there is a little bit of hope last week where the Giants traveled to Los Angeles and gave the Rams a very rough time, and this Cowboys defense has done nothing to me that convinces me that they're gonna, like, all of a sudden, like, Daniel Jones is gonna, like, fall apart against this defense. But Daniel Jones will just fall apart by himself anyway.
He'll do it himself.
So I'm not sitting here saying that this is not a guarantee. I doubt it's gonna happen, but Team Chaos, I'm all in. This is the most chaotic team this week.
All right, I feel less bad about my Team Chaos now.
Yes.
I am picking the Cowboys. Dak is good quarterback.
Yep.
That I can't say that about a lot of other players from either team, that they're good at their position, but Dak is good.
Yes. You haven't said your Team Chaos yet?
I have not.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Next up, the Broncos will be traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. Of course, Do we know if this game's going to happen? No. And do we know if it does happen, if Cam Newton's going to start? We don't. I would imagine if it's a 2-week period that he would not start, because that would be fucking reckless as shit, but who knows? So the Patriots are now coming off of their loss against the Chiefs. The Broncos are coming off their first win of the season against the New York Jets. What do you think's going to happen?
The Broncos are no Chiefs. And even though New England quarterback play is not great, I still think as a whole they'll be able to match up to what the Broncos are going to be able to do, and I'll take the Patriots in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots. Their defense did enough against the Chiefs that convinced me, like, okay, like they could game plan for any situation, and I don't think it's going to be that hard for the Broncos to game plan against Brett Rypien or Drew Lock, whoever ends up starting this week.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings, coming off their first win of the season, travel to Seattle to take on the undefeated Seahawks. How's this matchup going to go?
I think that the Seahawks should win. This Vikings offense has started to look good over the last 2 weeks, so that's maybe a little bit of an issue for the Seahawks. But I think that overall, this Seahawks team is playing too well, and Kirk Cousins turns into a pumpkin when he's playing in Seattle, and very specifically when he's playing in prime time, with the exception of the one playoff game. So I'm very confidently picking the Seahawks in this one.
I forgot this was a primetime game. I'm gonna go with it anyway because I feel like it's probably true, but still just circumstance. Quarterbacks against the Seahawks this year have played really well because the Seahawks do not have a good secondary, and Jamal Adams is going to be out again. So I feel like chaos is bound to happen.
Yeah, I feel like we're just picking like just pure chaos this week.
Yeah,
chaos. So chaos.
Chaos is bound to happen. It doesn't make sense picking against the Seahawks. They're still my NFC Super Bowl pick. Their defense needs to get better, but if the Vikings continue what they started and get Cook going, get Thielen and Jefferson consistent, I think that the Vikings at least stand a little bit of a chance. So I'm going to team cast the Vikings, again, forgetting that Monday night, that primetime Cousins was a thing.
Yeah, I can't stop you. My only like with the Vikings is it's not so much their offense I'm worried about, it's their defense that I don't.
The Vikings defense I'm also worried about, and I'm starting Russell Wilson over Lamar.
Yeah,
even though Lamar's facing Cincinnati.
Yeah, but I like it. I like all the picks. I'm only doing counter for purposes of I guess debate. But I like the pick. I think it could be interesting. It could definitely happen. Anything can fucking happen in this league. It's very strange. Yeah, and that's the Seahawks.
Sunday night.
Yes, and then Monday Night Football. The Chargers go to the Saints, potentially in Indianapolis, if that happens. And the Saints finally bounced back after a rough stretch, got their win. Nice, it was a surprisingly dominant win. And then the Chargers, they had the comeback. They had this strong lead, and then they blew it. But we'll see what happens in this game. What do you think is going to happen?
I think the Chargers might surprise a lot of people in this game, but the Saints just still feel so stalwart to me, and the Chargers being in a similar place as the Lions, granted less choky than the Lions are.
Sure.
So I'll stick with the Saints, although I don't think it's as clear in the Saints' favor as the ESPN pick'em would make you think.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be close. I don't think this is a blowout bound thing by any stretch. Michael Thomas being potentially back this week is definitely, I think, a factor. And that's why I'm picking the Saints anyway, because I think that this is maybe when this kind of like the moment where Drew Brees joined the Saints again from last year. Like I think this is like the moment Michael Thomas come back. Like this is when this team kind of starts to get back to where it should be. But I I am. I do think the Chargers are gonna play it close. So the Saints are my pick, though.
Yep.
All right, and with that, once again, I was thinking like we went through like half the slate, and I was just like, wow, all right, no disagreements. This might be not that exciting a week, and then it just was a shitstorm,
and then chaos,
the chaos reigns
and
supreme.
And a guarantee from me.
Yeah.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 disagreements.
Yeah, four disagreements. You picked the Jaguars, Browns, Cowboys, Vikings. I picked the Texans, Colts, Giants, Seahawks. I vowed that I would never pick the Giants, but I just felt like the opportunity just was there. It's there for me right there. Like this Cowboys team is in such disarray. Or not disarray, but there's so much drama around this team and so much chaos. Like everyone, like the Cowboys fans are just shitting relentlessly on this team right now. And what would happen if the fucking Giants, which just showed like a little bit of life last week, but like who fucking knows? Like if they beat the Cowboys,
I don't know how I don't know who gets fired.
I don't know if anyone gets fired, but I also think that people would want Jerry Jones's head on a stake.
Or Mike McCarthy, maybe. They should already want that.
Mike McCarthy might be on dealt the hand, or just like, or maybe more specifically, Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator.
All I'm saying, Dak is going to outprice himself. Cowboys aren't going to pay him. He's going to play for the Bears next year.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to play for the Bears. No, I love your guarantee though. The fact that you picked the Browns is the guarantee. I love it, and I hope.
Like
you're
I
right.
said, I've been hurt before. Week one of the VBB. I guaranteed the Browns over the Titans, and then.
Let's hope that this is a different time, but also let's not take it. If the Browns lose this game, don't hurt them. This is bound to kind of it could happen where they lose against a Colts defense like this.
No, absolutely.
You know, it's a different scenario where the Titans just completely destroyed the Browns in week 1. Yeah. All right, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. This is gonna be a fun week. If it plays, of course, again, if things don't, then they don't, and a lot of this podcast was a waste. But I'm okay with that. It is what it is. As long as people are being safe and doing what they gotta do for COVID times, I'm good. I'm all fine with that. Yeah. So once again, this Saturday will be potentially VBBFL Week 2 action. Stay tuned on our social media feed for any announcements on that front, specifically on our Twitter and also our Instagram. Follow the Team Chaos Productions Instagram. Good buddy Walsh has been doing a great job managing that. I believe it's just Team Chaos Productions.
Yeah.
Team Chaos Prod. I'm not too sure.
Neither of us use Instagram, so.
Yeah. I don't know, but I know that people like the Instagram, so you know that's for you all folks to enjoy.
I want to end the episode because we have fun, but we do strike a negative tone a lot. So I want to read a tweet from today,
sure.
From Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario from Super Mario.
Okay.
Where he said, "Please stay safe. The world is a better place because you are in it."
Damn right. You're all beautiful.
Stay safe. The world needs you here.
And we will see you next week.
Good night. Stay safe. Good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.